City. You know, this is a really exciting night. This is our first time doing this, and I hope that you all leave here tonight feeling optimistic and inspired. Our city has come such a long way, and I'm thrilled to share our accomplishments. First, I would like to acknowledge my colleagues that have been floating around. We'll start off with, she's not here tonight, I believe, but Chris Kelly. Let's give her a round of applause. Councilmember Dion Bailey, where are you at, Dion? All right, Dion Bailey. Tiffany Ridley, this on you. And our Vice Mayor, Dan Romero. And you know, right over there in the church, the strength of our city relies on the staff that allows us to function. And so the staff, can y'all please stand, or the majority of you all are standing. Our city clerk, Alice Melendez, our public works director, Mike Roberts, community development director, Tim Rude, our finance director, Edwin Gatto, parks and rec director, Chris Rowe, our chief of police, Joe Vasquez, and our city attorney, Patrick Tang, along with our city manager, Dante Hall. Let's give them all a hand, everybody. And let's give a bigger round of applause to all the staff in each and every department that are keeping our city operating every single day, from the lifeguards and after school care staff to the public works people, quietly doing the work every single day to make sure that our city is running smoothly, especially working overtime during some of these recent storms. Now, if any of you would have asked us a couple years ago, 3 years ago, when this pandemic started, where the city would be, I don't think anyone could give you a solid answer. It was a time of uncertainty. And in the midst of uncertainty, it was Herculeans that came together. The Rotary Club came together to develop what I really like to say is the Zoomers and Boomers program to connect older folks to get caught up in the reality of a new thing that most of us have never dealt with called Zoom. And in addition to that, the Hercules Education Foundation continued to support teachers and students through grants and funds. And along with that, the Hercules Care nonprofit was formed to help seniors receive groceries and their medications. I can't begin to say how proud I am to see all of us come together in our darkest times. And the pandemic hit us all in different ways. Fortunately, the city fared through the storm, and we really didn't take too many significant hits. That's not the case for a lot of cities in our area. We're forever lucky and grateful that many of our businesses that started before the pandemic are still here to this day. And it would be remiss to me if we didn't acknowledge the folks that we lost during the pandemic. Please keep them and their families in your hearts and minds. But I will say this, we are in a new day. We are in a new and improved Hercules. We are what I like to call the dynamic era. And we are stepping into a Hercules, one that is forward thinking, moving with the times, and taking a role not only as an innovator, but a leader in our region and in our state. As many of you may have seen, our public works teams has been busy. In this past year, Public Works alone has repaired 61 sidewalk locations across the city. The department steps into the future by joining GoGov, a phone app that allows you to directly report to the Public Works team and streamlines the process of making sure we address some of those maintenance issues. And I want to give a huge shout out to Councilmember Bailey for pushing that forward. And in addition to that, we've been aggressively chasing grants to fund some of these projects because they are really expensive. I'll be the first one to tell you that. And so by getting some of this free money out there, it's allowed us to save money on our end and make sure we address some of these needs. And I'm gonna give a huge shout out to Councilwoman Grimsley over there for the Willow and Palm Connection Sidewalk Connector. Many of you will start seeing that underway. That was a $1.1 million project that we were able to get in grants to pay for that. And along with that, we have a $14 million project quite literally below our feet, and that is the replacement of the Sycamore Avenue Lower Sewer Trunk Main Capital Improvement Plan. And what this does is it's going to allow us to replace 24-inch pipes with 30-inch pipes along the mile of Sycamore Avenue. And what this is going to do is allow us to increase flow so we don't have buildups. We've all had to deal with some of the early morning public works situations. We all know that when storms happen, things build up. So by doing this, again, we're planning for the future, because sometimes, I'm just gonna be very honest with you, we don't know about an issue until it's too late. So that's why I'm really, really excited about that. So huge shout out to Mike Roberts and his team for getting that underway. And in addition to that, in a real uncertain time and difficult conversations around law enforcement, our agency is shown to be a shining beacon for community policing and not being afraid to meet folks where they are. Our last chief in Bowdoin, retired a few months ago, and many of you probably have met Chief Vasquez now. I mean, he's been around for 1,000 years. But both have developed a reputation for being engaging with the community and actually being a member of our community. Our police department has held a variety of events such as Breakfast with the Badge, Coffee with the Cop, Reading Across America, and our Citizens Police Academy with over 22 participants. And I will say this, On a personal note, it means a lot to me to have our police chief live in this city and be a part of this community. Chief Vasquez was a school resource officer when I went to Hercules Middle School. And through that, I met him at the time when he was Sergeant Vasquez, and I grew up with his kids. I would say this, the more I connect with mayors across the country and across the Bay Area, I would say that's a phenomenon. You don't get that far too often where you can say, oh yeah, I can see my police chief walking down the street. He quite literally lives down the street from my mom, who's actually in attendance right now. So that means a lot to me. So thank you, Chief, for all that you do. And it's even more critical that we recognize how amazing our police department is and some of our officers, like Officer Lazo. She's not here right now, but if you ever run into her, awesome person, amazing soul. She came in one night on her graveyard shift, and she brought snacks and hygiene products for kids as she passed out. She wasn't asked to do this, she wasn't tasked to do this, and as a service member, I've been tasked with a lot of different stuff, so when you volunteer for something, that shows the kind of person that you are. That's the kind of community policing we want to have. We don't want people to be afraid of our officers. We don't want you to interact with our officers on the worst day of your life. We want you to be a part of this community and feel safe in this community. And as I continue to go on, I will say Hercules is roaring back. Our community development director, led by Director Rude, has been hard at work restoring our community and giving this community a sense of belonging. Our Owl Ranch will have 40 new single-family homes, over 1,000 businesses have been issued permits, and 21 business grants have been issued alone, and over $100,000 in revenue has been generated from building permits. See, it shows that people are really invested into this community, and we're working to invest right back in them. I led an initiative in collaboration with our Chamber of Commerce to initiate the Gifty gift card program. And most of you may have known it as our community gift card program. And we launched it twice, and in our second round of it, we made over $160,000 in revenue. That's money that's going directly back into our community, going back into the businesses that have called Hercules home, like Sugar Tooth Bakery, who actually helped out with this tonight. And on a personal note, again, if you have never had their Oreo chocolate chip cookie with a little cashew sea salt on it, I highly recommend it. It's owned by two amazing people that I actually can call my neighbors, Joe and Kate Zetchin. They're amazing individuals, and this is the kind of work that we're doing here in Hercules. We're investing into our community. We're making sure that if you establish a business here, we want you to stay here because we all know that it's the small businesses that contribute to the Little Leagues team. It's the small businesses that you can call on and say, hey, I'd like to have a donation at our fundraiser. Can you help us out? And they'll answer the call. Now, I will also say this too, and I'm a very big fan of this. I'm a direct beneficiary of the Public Works, not the Public Works, but the Parks and Recs program. Exactly right here, when I was 8 years old, it was the first time I ever played basketball for a team. And I will tell you, we lost every single game that season. It was so embarrassing being 8 years old and losing every single game. But more importantly, Parks and Rec is much more than summer programs and after-school programs. It's community. It's for people like myself that have made lifelong friends. And some of the employees here that are still here to this day, I grew up with them. And people like my friend Andrew, his mom still works in the city, Miss Maria, to this very, very day. And it's, in addition to that, we realize that community is about a sense of belonging. Our Parks and Recs program are great because for a lot of children, it's a place that they can go, that they can escape the reality of home. It's a place where seniors can go and join events like our senior health fair, our senior foods programs, and enjoy day trips. The list goes on. Our Park and Rec director, Chris Rowe, with the amazing shirt back there, he leads this agency with compassion and enthusiasm. And I will say on another personal story, I got to witness it firsthand. We're installing swing sets for children in wheelchairs in a couple weeks, and a few months ago we were up in Vacaville. I love telling this story. We were meeting with the guy who started this park, and it's for all abilities, for any children, doesn't matter if you're disabled body or able body. And it was about 7 in the morning, the sun's just rising, and we're all talking about why we're passionate about this. And we all start crying. I realized, if 3 grown men playing on a playground crying, talking about why they're passionate about playgrounds. That's the kind of passion and enthusiasm that you see in this city. That's why it's so awesome to be up here and talk about this right now. And I will say this too. The Parks and Rec Department are responsible for some of the most amazing events that the city has to offer, and the most notable that really give Hercules a name, like Trunk or Treat with over 1,700 people in attendance, National Night Out with over 2,000 people making their way through. And on June 4th, in collaboration with our Chamber of Commerce and a bunch of different agencies, we will be bringing back our cultural festival. All the millennials in Hercules are going crazy because we all have the nostalgia and the memory of it. And to the people who consistently ask, yes, in July 4th, the fireworks will be back too. Yeah, come on, y'all. We'll bring Hercules back. Now, many of you may remember the days of Hercules nearing bankruptcy, but I am happy to say we are on track and have made significant strides to achieve fiscal stability. We were recently awarded the Distinguished Budget Presentation by the Government Finance Officers Association. That is their highest award that they can give. And our Finance Director, Edwin Goddard, who I don't think is here tonight, is responsible for that. In addition to that, we also had a clean audit as well. So this is not Hercules of the old, where we're afraid to talk about some of our financial issues and you only hear about the city when you turn on KRON 4. This is the Hercules that's new and improving. That's why I said we're moving into our dynamic era. The Finance Department has continued to tackle delinquent accounts and maximize cash flow through audits and collections, looking into our own books and saying, what can we do better? Through this, we refinanced city bonds and generated over $2 million in debt service saving. That's pretty amazing. Let's give our city staff, again, a round of applause. Now, I get this question a lot. What's up with the Regional Intermodal Transit Center? I haven't heard anything about it. And I said, well, you probably haven't because we rebranded it and we have a new strategy for it. And it's known as the Hercules Hub. You see, what we've been doing is we've been thinking outside the box. We've been thinking outside of Hercules. We've been thinking about, all right, how can we bring other stakeholders into this together? So we've been working with our new Congressman, John Garamendi, our County Supervisor, Federal Glover, even elected officials who don't represent us like a silly woman, Lori Wilson, to tackle this. And I'm happy to say our projection date to get this thing up and running is about 2026. That's a long ways away. It seems like a long ways away. But when you go back 10, 15 years ago, we didn't have a true projection date. That's the progress that we're making. Now, before I begin to close, I know because you're all tired of hearing me, we've been tying up a lot of loose ends that, quite frankly, a lot of people don't typically see. We have our new capital improvement plan that was led by our city manager, which allows us to account for our aging infrastructure. In addition, you may have noticed the new floorboards here in plans, and that was because of our new deferred maintenance plan. So we actually have a tracker of what's getting old, how much is it to replace it, and when can we do that? So we're not randomly searching for money and trying to tackle something at the last minute. We can actually plan for the future. And we want to thank the folks who participated in the Parks Master Plan and allowed us to hear directly what you felt was important. We have proven that we can walk and chew gum. And in a few weeks, because I get asked about this all the time, what are we going to do about business and how are we going to attract them? We're launching a new plan to bring in restaurants and retail, and I cannot tell you how excited I am for that to formally launch and get the ball rolling. And again, Hercules has moved into the future. A little over a year ago, we launched the Hercules Connect app, which allows residents to directly communicate with the city. No more calling the front desk and saying, hey, how can I get this going on our website and saying, hey, I don't know how to do this. You can reach out directly to it. And in many cases, get a lot of your issues tackled the same day. We can see it on our end and make sure that those issues are addressed, and more importantly, let you know that there's somebody who's actually paying attention, and you can hold us accountable back at City Hall and say, hey, I have this going, I submitted this ticket, bada bing, make it happen. And that's thanks largely to our city clerk, where is she? Ilease Melendez right there back there, who keeps track of all of our records and keeps everything in order. We have done this in the midst of uncertainty. We have done this in the midst of trying challenges. A lot of people have told us no, a lot of people told us we shouldn't, but you know what we have said? We said that we can, and we most certainly will. It is in collaboration with our city attorney that we adopted our equal pay ordinance that requires in writing a contractor will pay all employees equally and prohibits discrimination. We are the first city in the country to do that. And just today, actually, shout out to our folks with Peppy Smith back there. You might have seen their amazing graphics. In our last council meeting, we released a new number of EV charging stations that we will have in the city. And this is not just something that's small. This is going to help us generate some of those businesses, because if you have an electric vehicle, there's going to be no reason to come here if you can't charge it, right? So again, thinking about the future. We have been protecting the health and the well-being of others while ensuring that we are looking forward and looking out for our environment by adopting and curbing our use of gas-powered appliances and new development. And we are working with our partners in lockstep to expand public transportation, and more importantly, and I think probably the most important thing to me, making sure this community, this city feels like a community. I am definitely more excited than I've ever been about this city, and I say that every single day that this city is improving. You can literally see it from the floorboards, and you can see it in our council meetings. This city government is not afraid to come out and talk to you. That's why we're here right now. We're not afraid to meet you where you are. We're not afraid to have some of these interesting conversations. This is the new Hercules. This is the dynamic era. So thank you again, folks. I'm really excited for this. I'm going to turn it over to our amazing city manager.